Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is out everywhere now. This will be my post-credit scene video because there is a lot going on with the future of all the characters and how it connects with everything that's coming up, like Avengers 5, Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're also in the middle of a couple really big giveaways, so I'll name a few winners later in this video, but the giveaways will continue for a while. Careful for spoilers for the movie if you have not seen it yet, because we have to talk about the end. But at the end of the movie, probably one of the biggest surprises, even though a lot of things that we all predicted happened, a couple of the biggest surprises were that none of the main team members ended up dying. Really thought they were going to wind up killing off Drax, but most of them do leave the team. Like, a lot of them were talking about this being their last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, last Marvel movie. Drax ends up caring for all the High Evolutionaries' reject experiments and kids that they rescued from his base at the end of the film, completing his arc from the first movie with him becoming a father again. Originally, he'd sworn to kill Thanos because he was responsible for the death of his wife and child. After they got rid of Ronan and killed Thanos during Avengers Endgame, he'd been spinning his wheels, just unsure of what direction his life should take, like what his purpose should be in living. Now his purpose is in being a father to all these new kids that they rescued. Nebula finally comes to terms with herself. She finally understands who she is, who she wants to be in the universe, feels good about herself after all the years of torture from Thanos telling her she wasn't good enough, replacing all of her body parts to make her stronger. Her story in that way is meant to be similar to Rocket's origin story, the way the High Evolutionary modified him to make him better, so to speak. She leaves the team to become the new administrator of Knowhere, the giant head of the Celestial, which I've talked about in previous videos, which they actually showed us during the Eternals movie, like the full version of the Eternal. They do wind up using Knowhere as a really cool weapon against the High Evolutionary during the movie, too. The Guardians of the Galaxy had actually purchased Knowhere from the Collector after Avengers Endgame, proving that he's also still alive. We thought that he died during Avengers Infinity War, but he's still alive out there. But during the events of the holiday special, they had already owned Knowhere. They owned the entire head. And even though the original Guardians team went their separate ways, collectively they all still own it. It doesn't solely belong to Nebula now by herself, but she's permanently taking care of it. The younger version of Gamora goes back to continue leading the Ravagers, which she was doing at the beginning of the movie. She and Star-Lord don't end the movie together because she's fundamentally a different person than Peter Quill's version of Gamora, and a lot of the movie is him coming to terms with that. Mantis leaves to travel the universe by herself, just learning about things because she'd been trapped, cooped up for so long by her and Peter Quill's father, Ego the Living Planet. The only members from the original Guardians roster who stay on the team are Rocket and Groot. I don't consider Kraglin to be part of the original roster because he only joined the team after the second movie, and Cosmo the Space Dog only joined the team after Avengers Endgame. But the new Guardians roster is Rocket leading the team, Groot, who's evolved again into like the Giga Chad version of himself. He looks more like King Groot from the comics and the games with a big crown on his head, in the way he's bigger than the original Groot was. He's meant to be the original Groot's son or the closest thing to his offspring. He's not the same Groot just regrown again like the comics. He's a totally new person. Kraglin, who's finally gotten good at using Yondu's fin in his arrow weapon, he's been wearing it full time since Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and he's had it since the end of Guardians 2. Then Cosmo the Space Dog, who we saw working with the team in the Holiday Special, and the totally new members replacing the ones who also left are Adam Warlock, who we predicted was going to join the team eventually anyway. In the comics, he became a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy team during Annihilation, and then later in the comics, he's continuing his quest to understand reality, people, morality just in general, kind of like Vision did after Avengers Age of Ultron. They're very similar characters in that way, ultra-powerful beings who were effectively born yesterday. So during the movie, he's kind of like this god-tier powerful person with the mind, the emotional capacity of a child. But that's basically the way Adam Warlock's story in the comics played out. He's created, he rebels against his creators, and then leaves to travel the universe to just learn about everything on his own. The next new member is Phyla-Vell, who's kind of like the new version of Quasar from the comics, or will become Quasar in the future. She's meant to be one of the more powerful beings that the High Evolutionary was experimenting on, kind of like he was doing with Adam Warlock, because it's revealed the High Evolutionary created the Sovereign, so effectively he created Adam Warlock. I did a whole other video for the Phyla-Vell origin story for Quasar. She's basically meant to be an artificially created copy of Genus Vell, the son of the original Captain Marvel in the comics, and their mother was an Eternal from the planet Titan like Thanos, like the same kind of Eternal. So both their mothers and fathers were meant to be these ultra-powerful beings, which is why Phyla-Vell is so powerful. As far as I can tell, she doesn't have the quantum bands yet, so I think that'll be like some future story that they can tell in other Marvel movies, but James Gunn said that he's going to DC, so it won't be James Gunn telling that story. The last new member of the new Guardians roster is Blurp, who's another one of the High Evolutionaries creations that they rescue. There's been a bunch of jokes about him in all the trailers too. And during the post-credit scene, the new Guardians team is on a planet getting ready to protect a group of townspeople from an invading army of animals, but they're sitting around casually just joking with each other about who their favorite music bands are. Phyla Vell says her favorites are Britney Spears and Korn, which are like two diametrically opposite tones of bands, like completely different. I think the Easter egg there is just for her personality. Like, she is a little girl, technically, so she likes Britney Spears, like cute little girl stuff that you would expect. But because she has this super dark origin story, she's this ultra powerful being, sometimes her personality swings super dark and she's super hardcore and terrifying. Kraglin says his favorite music is The Man, Garth Brooks the country singer. He really likes the classics. And because Cosmo's accent is so thick, I actually couldn't make out who her favorite band was. If you think you heard in the theater correctly, write it below in the comments. I've still got to see the movie a couple more times for my full breakdown and Easter eggs video, just because there's so much stuff that happened. But Adam Warlock's favorite music band is Adrian Belew, who was a guitarist who ended up working with King Crimson, who go back to the 60s. They're like a prog rock group. And I think the Easter egg there is that he likes bands from around the time that he debuted in the comics, because it's around the time that he was created in Marvel Comics. And Rocket says his favorite song is actually a huge Easter egg from the original Come and Get Your Love Redbone song at the very beginning of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That was the song that Star-Lord was listening to on the original mixtape on Morag when he was kicking around water looking for the Power Stone. He says this one's kind of special, then cues up the song to play on Star-Lord's Zune, which he gave to Rocket when he left the team to go back to Earth. So Rocket has all Peter Quill's original mixtape music on his Zune, and it's meant to be a teaser that when they show up in the future movies like this new Guardians roster, they'll still be listening to the same type of 70s music, because they still have the Zune. They're also still wearing all those brand new suits from the Annihilation comic book run. I'm sure they'll show up in future movies with different costume changes, just because everybody gets costume changes in new movies. They joke about who's going to be the one to defeat the invading army for the town. Like, oh no, I'll do it. Like, it's no big deal. Kraglin says he'll do it by himself, just because they treat it like it's not a big deal. Rocket says they should all do it together just so that it goes faster, and then he bumps Groot, who's been lying down taking a nap. He rolls over and is super huge, like I said, the Giga Chad version of Groot now. And as they start running towards the army of animals, the music swells up, Come and Get Your Love, and it slams to credits with the song playing. Really nice callback to the beginning of the first movie. The arc of the team is now complete, even though this team will continue in future Marvel movies. Probably not coming back till Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty or Avengers 6 Secret Wars. After that, they probably won't do Guardians of the Galaxy 4 as a movie, because Disney said they're not doing fourth sequels anymore for any of these movies, but the team will just keep crossing over with other space-based movies. The second post-credit scene is a funny scene of Star-Lord, who's gone back to Earth now to live with his grandfather, who we saw in the first movie, and the idea is that he's finally made peace with his past, the death of his mother, so he's finally cool to come back and actually live on planet Earth again. The whole idea with his character before this is that he hated Earth just because it reminded him of his mother so much, so he tried as much as he could to stay away from Earth. Even during Avengers Endgame, when he actually had to come back to fight Thanos, he left as fast as possible after they killed him. And in the actual scene, he's just jokingly talking to his grandfather about Kevin Bacon being super weird and casual everyday problems like mowing the lawn. Very mundane, regular human problems, and it's meant to be a sign that he's finally found some peace and doesn't have any universe-ending threats that he's worried about at the current moment. And it's also a joke about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special when Peter Quill actually met the real Kevin Bacon and they celebrated Christmas together. Like, the actor Kevin Bacon is now canon to the Marvel Universe, and they're saying he's super weird. Then at the very end of the credits, a special message says the legendary Star-Lord will return in a special Guardians of the Galaxy style font, and it's meant to be both a joke about the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie where nobody knew who Peter Quill was because he called himself the legendary Star-Lord. Like, he was the only person who actually referred to himself as legendary.
Another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
Who?
Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Guys?
And it's a reference to Star-Lord coming back in Avengers 5 and Avengers 6, because Chris Pratt has said in real life that he's definitely coming back for more Marvel movies, even though James Gunn is leaving to lead DC movies, and some of the other actors have said this is their very last Marvel movie. He's like, no, I'm definitely coming back. Publicly, the only actors who have said they're definitely done and aren't doing any more Marvel movies are Zoe Saldana and Dave Bautista. Like, even though Nebula left the team, Karen Gillan has said that she's open to coming back in more Marvel movies. If you spotted any other Easter eggs in the actual post-credit scenes that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. My full breakdown Easter eggs for the entire movie will post Friday. It'll be a giant video. There's so much that happens. Be sure to go see the movie as soon as possible if you haven't yet. There's so much stuff we have to talk about. Gear Rob and Cody Meal 2997, congratulations, you're the giveaway winners from my last couple of Guardians of the Galaxy videos. Please contact me on my About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Now, the giveaways are still open. There's still a bunch of free stuff that I have to give away, so those will continue for a while. I'll name the next giveaway winners in my full breakdown Easter eggs video tomorrow. Everyone click here for that. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for my brand new Secret Invasion trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.